morning and welcome to Village in Motion. I'm Marcia Boyles and I'm delighted this morning to begin our first segment with Cody Burns, who is our Director of Finance. Welcome, Cody. We're glad to have you today and hope that we learn a lot about what's going on with finance.
Thanks for having me. I hope I can help out.
Absolutely. Do you have anything you'd like to begin with? And then I will probably start shooting you some questions.
Sure. Just a couple of announcements / reminders. So on December 7th, we do have our Move Out or Pass Away Forum in the Hunters Crossing Conference Center from noon to 1:30, and reminder flyers will be going out tonight in the cubbies. So,
do people need to sign up for that?
Yes. So please stop by the finance office and RSVP so we can get your name on a list. And there will be light food and refreshments served there as well. So, but very good information to have.
Yes.
And even if you don't want to have it now, it's always good to have it in the back of your head, and family members are welcome to come as well.
Are those still being very well attended?
Yes, we had one, the last one we had a couple months ago, and pretty full house. So very good turnout so far. We're working on scheduling our 2019 forums, so be on the lookout for those dates as well.
Well, they're very helpful.
Yes, I agree. Yeah. And then last, just also kind of in the same vein, be sure to stop by coming into the end of the year at the finance office to check your files and make sure that we have the most up-to-date information, whether that be POA forms or trust documents, so that we have the most up-to-date files and we know what to do if anything in that realm happens.
All right, now Cody, I think the average person is not really aware that they need to do that, quite honestly. Do they make an appointment with you? How does that work?
No, they can just stop by the finance office, and anyone in the office knows what to do, and there is a checklist for them that they can go through that we have that has a list of what documents we normally like to see in the files, and anyone in the finance office can pull your file and walk through it with you.
How many folks would you guess had done that?
I'm not in the office all the time, but from when I'm there, we get 1 or 2 a week, I'd say. So
1 or 2 a week.
Yeah,
okay.
so not as many as we would like, but
I just don't think we think to do that.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah. So it's always good to check annually what files you have, not only in the finance office, but also in your home. If you've got old tax returns or something that can be thrown away or shredded, it's always good to kind of make sure the most up-to-date information is there.
Now, why would you have our tax returns?
We wouldn't in your home.
Oh, in our home.
Yes.
Oh, I see. All right.
Yes. Do a spring cleaning of not only the files in the finance office, but also in your home.
All right.
Yep.
Good idea. No, I misunderstood. I thought, my goodness, when they've got our tax returns, we're in trouble here.
No.
Oh, okay. That's good information. Anything else?
And just be on the lookout. Statements will be coming out probably Monday or Tuesday of next week.
They were late. Was it last month?
They were late last month. I think we're on track this month. So I'm waiting to get the delivery, and they should hopefully tomorrow or Monday we'll have them in the office, and then we'll be sending them out.
The statements come out from corporate. Is that correct?
Well, corporate generates them, and we use a off-site print vendor to print them and then deliver them to us. Yep.
Well, I always find them flawless. So
very good.
I virtually never find an error.
We get a few errors here and there, but if there are any issues, be sure to call the finance office, or if it's a general service charge or a dining services charge, be sure to contact the department which the charge you're questioning.
Right. Where the charge emanated from.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, that does happen occasionally. Okay, that sounds good. I was going to ask you what was happening with the. No, I've really got 2 questions here. Firstly, who provides you with an annual amount that you are allowed to budget for? Who prepares the budget?
So,
is it the same budget virtually in terms of per resident amounts? Does corporate provide an overriding amount?
No. So it's really a partnership and a process. The budget process. It starts in late July, early August, and what we really do is we look to try and balance what we've done with what we think is going to happen.
All right, so past budgets per department kind of thing?
So we really look at how have we been operating the last year, what changes do we know are going to happen in the upcoming year as of August and September, and what our knowledge has at that point in time. And we really start with the expenses. So how much are we going to need to spend next year on wages, on supplies, on repairs and maintenance, on food and beverage, so on and so forth. So it's really, my office is partnering with all of the individual departments to come up with what do they think they need.
I see, okay.
The assumptions behind those needs.
And you do the pricing and the cost analysis?
And then after that, we look at how much the pricing, what the pricing needs to be.
Okay.
Whether that's an increase, can we keep it flat? Because we're really trying to maintain a certain margin. And a margin is how much money you get to retain after you've paid out all of your expenses, so that we can continue to operate at an efficient level.
I want to come back to that issue, because that is a major, major point here. All right, Corey, if a department head came in and said, I want 7 new staff members, who makes the decision whether or not they can do that?
So that would be in partnership with our corporate liaisons and my office. They would, if that request were to come through, which normally it doesn't. Normally we're looking at how can we maintain the staffing level that we have or slightly decrease it in order to gain efficiencies. But if that request were to come in, we would look at why do they say they need this. The department would have to give a business proposal for the request, so that it's not just we need 7 new people, okay, go for it. They would have to explain why they feel they need the 7 people.
Now, to whom are they explaining?
To myself, to Chandra, the executive director, and to their corporate partners as well. So, for example, if there is for dining services, there's a dining services corporate liaison that helps with some of the guidance and operational aspects of the business. And we would work with them to figure out, is this actually a need? Or can we reduce it to 5 people? Or can we reduce it to 3 people? And what gain would we get from adding these additional bodies?
All right, so effectively, aside from the finance piece, the decision on staffing, for example, would be the corporate liaison and our executive director. Is that basically the case?
Yeah, there's definitely multiple parties involved in the decision-making process.
All right. And is the consistency of, say, staffing in a department vis-a-vis other Erickson communities a major issue, do you think, in decision-making on that?
I wouldn't say a major issue. It's always something we're looking at. And our corporate partners, along with the community departments, are always working together to try and figure out what are the PAR staffing levels that we need to have based off of the programs that we're trying to run. So if we're trying to introduce a new dining venue, for example, we would look at, all right, what type of dining venue are we trying to introduce? Is it a fast casual? Is it a more formal dining venue? And then once that's decided, what kind of staffing levels and service levels are we looking to implement there? And then we back into how many people do we need to provide that service. And there are definitely PAR staffing levels that our corporate partners have that I don't have off the top of my head, but they have spreadsheets and templates that we start with, and then the flexibility of, flexibility within a framework, right? So we start with the template, and then we say, all right, what makes Green Spring unique?
Different.
Exactly, different. And so I'd say probably 80% of our programs are structured, and then there's that 20% flexibility with the uniqueness at each campus.
All right, but aside from some unique factor, the expectation is then that there would be consistency.
Sure, yes.
All right, that would make sense. Now, my next question relates to the enormous reserves that we have here. The last I heard, they were 199 million. I'm assuming that has probably changed. Do you know what it is at this point?
Last I checked, it was around 185 million. in cash and cash equivalents.
That was because Dogwood Commons required some.
Yeah, so we spent some of it because of the capital projects going
Yes, yes,
around the community.
yes.
Yeah.
All right. My question is, I mean, that represents, I don't know, 35 years of operating expenses, which seems somewhat excessive.
Mm-hmm.
My question is, how does that number relate to the kinds of reserves in the other, I believe it's 3 other nonprofit Erickson communities?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any idea?
So within the Erickson communities, we're actually very strong. So we have one of the highest reserves within the Erickson communities.
Is it the highest?
Mm-hmm.
That's
At
what
least
I thought.
proportionally to the campus size. But we have to look at it in a couple different ways. So we have $185 million in the bank,
Right.
so to say. However, we also have to look at, there are the entrance deposits that we have to pay back if someone were to move out.
Oh, does that
correct?
include the deposits?
No, yes, it includes the deposits. So that money that we have collected from deposits is within that 185 million.
All right. Now, Cody, what proportion of the 185 are deposits?
I'm not sure off the top of my head, but I think the
This
main
is
thing.
a little unfair of me to be
I don't have
asking
the
this.
numbers in
Right.
front of me, but the main thing to look at is, how much we expect to have to pay out in entrance deposits within the next year, which is really what we look at,
Right.
against how much we have in the reserve.
Yes, clearly you've got
Against-
to have enough to cover those.
Exactly.
Any
And so I think
possibility.
that's when I talk, when the reserve comes up a lot, I think that's the missing piece that a lot of folks aren't thinking about.
Yes.
Is that, yes, we have $185 million in the bank, but we're not just sitting on cash. There are plans for that cash, but also there are the plans for what if something happens and we have to pay out a bunch of entrance deposits. We don't have to go anywhere to fund that. Or what if we need to build a new building? Or what if we have to repair
Well, of course, not
something?
building a new building. One would assume that you would borrow.
Well, and that's the thing, though. We don't have to borrow, and that's what gives us such financial strength. An article came out a couple months ago about our Fitch rating, which was the A+ Fitch rating that we received. And that really, we were one of 2 CCRCs under the Fitch purview that had the A+ rating, which was the highest rating of any of the CCRCs. And it really just tells how strong Green Spring is. And Fitch doesn't just look at how much money you have in the bank. They're also looking at what are your plans for capital improvements, what is your sales strategy. So that A+ rating comes
And
from a lot
I'm
more.
sure also the occupancy rates.
Yes, exactly. We have one of the highest occupancy rates in the country, let alone in Erickson. And actually, we just, we haven't published it yet, but we just got upgraded in our Fitch rating. So we went from an A+ to a AA-. And I know the minus might sound like we got downgraded,
Yes,
but the more
yes.
A's that we have, the better.
I see,
So
all
it's
right.
like bond ratings.
Oh, okay.
And so
All right.
having 2 A's and a minus, so we were AA- with a stable outlook. And so Fitch believes that we have the financial strength to continue into the future. And a part of that was because we don't have to borrow money. That was a big factor for them.
I can imagine. I can't imagine us ever having to borrow money.
No.
I see that our time is coming to an end, and I'm really sorry because we could sit here and talk about these things for, I think the concern or the awareness on the part of the residents is, all right, they keep talking about having a less money in the yearly budget than the year before as a good thing, and I think we're thinking, is that really a good thing?
In respect to spending?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I would say that our spending going into next year, and we will be presenting the budget within the next few weeks, I believe. But our spending actually has stayed pretty flat. It hasn't decreased. It stayed
I don't
pretty
mean-
flat or increased slightly.
Exactly. I mean, it hasn't been a huge amount, but I remember Ron. The only reason I'm bringing this up is that Ron Taylor, the last report I heard him give to the community, was that they had spent $1 million less last year than they had the year before,
Mm-hmm.
which seemed, surprising to us all.
And that can happen. It really depends on the economic climate at the time.
Well, and
with
the
our-
staff that
the staffing.
maybe are here or not here.
Mhm. So, so we always look at
Yeah.
the wage increases for the current staff, but
Right.
sometimes there's turnover and then we end up paying less because
Sure.
we're paying
Sure.
lower wages for newer people
Sure.
coming in. But also sometimes we're able to negotiate better contracts with our vendors and to reduce pricing on that end.
Good point.
As Erickson grows, our buying power grows, and Greenspring gets to utilize that buying power.
All right.
And so sometimes we're able to negotiate better contracts or switch vendors with lower pricing.
All
And
right.
we save a lot of money in that way as well.
All right, that's certainly a legitimate point. No, I think we've all just been curious about the possibility of spending less, knowing that there's inflation.
Yep.
So that explains it.
Yep.
Well, I see our time is at an end. Is there anything you'd like to leave us with this morning?
No, I would say just when I don't remember what date we are presenting the budget, but when that date comes out, I invite as many people to come out and either watch it on TV or come to the live show, because our board members will be here and a lot of questions about what's going to happen next
Sure.
year will be answered, as I'm sure there are many questions.
Well, you seem to be settling in very nicely after Ron Taylor left.
Yep.
So this is a huge responsibility.
Yeah, I'm trying to embrace it with open arms.